Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, June the 21st, 2023. Wednesday, June the 21st. Well, not too much really happened. This is not going to be a long recap, y'all. Nick is trying to comfort Sally, and believe it or not, he is letting Sally know Adam was faced with an impossible decision. And he made the best decision he thought he could make because he loves her, right? And she was saying, and he goes, and I understand impossible choices. And he ended up telling her what happened, that Kirsten was trying to make him choose between Faith, or saving Sharon. And he goes, I couldn't make that choice because Nick didn't say. Sharon was the one that finally got the knife out, right? Nick had said, look, Faith could leave, and that's when they found out she had the bomb strapped to her, right? So anyway, Sally's like, yeah, but Adam let our baby die. He this, he that. And so then she goes, I'll never forgive him, never. And then she goes, who would you actually have ever chosen? What would your choice have been? And he didn't really say, and he just looked at her. He goes, I'm just happy I didn't have to make it. She goes, you would have chose Faith, wouldn't you? Because she's young, she's got the rest of her life to live. Well, that was the same for my baby. And she goes, and Adam took that away from her. And I'm thinking, Sally, for one, you don't know that baby would have lived. That baby was way, way, way premature, period. Right? And she goes, would you have chosen my baby? And Nick just looked at her. He goes, that wouldn't have been a choice for me. I mean, that wouldn't have been a choice that I should have made, Sally. And she's just looking at him. And then he ends up saying, Sally, when you get out of here, I want you to come live with me because I love you, Sally. And blah, 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 right? And Sally's looking like, what? Oh, I think she was smiling, saying, I don't know if she said she would, but you could tell she will, right? But her grief is definitely justified. Her anger is actually normally a normal reaction. Unfortunately, when you find out someone made that choice, right? And that wasn't a choice you would have made. So she's going to be angry at Adam for a long time. And the next thing, Adam could definitely tell her, you know what? You could be angry for the rest of your life at me, Sally, because you're going to be alive to be angry. You're going to be alive to be angry. And that's good enough for me. I could go to my grave. You never speak to me again. And Adam came back because when he was there before Nick, she pretended to be asleep. This time he came in and he's talking to her. And I'm thinking, she ain't asleep. Because you're talking to her. He even picks up her hand, kisses it, right? She act like they got her so drugged out, she don't know what's happening. And he just has a heart to heart. And he says, you have to know that I loved that little girl and I would have given her the world. But I love you, Sally, too. I love you. And he was saying, you may never forgive me. I want your forgiveness, but you may never forgive me. And I'll have to live with that. Pretty much, that's what he said. So once he left the room, she starts crying because she knows she wasn't asleep. Come on now. So Adam is typical Adam. We've got Sharon and Faith at the coffee house. They decided they didn't want to sit at home pondering over what happened. They go to the coffee house. Faith has a little flashback of what happened, a little panic. And Sharon's like, Faith, what's the matter? And Chance was there to check on both of them. He went by the ranch and they weren't there. So he's like, I was surprised to find you here. And they're like, we didn't want to stay at that ranch. We wanted to come here and just try to, put something else in our minds. So, Faith had her, he goes, is Faith okay? She goes, she's going to have some things to work through. She had a little episode a minute ago. She'll get through it. So Adam comes in and sees Chance and Sharon talking, and he lays into Chance about not doing his job. If he would have done his job, Kirsten wouldn't have ever got a hold of Faith, and yada, yada, yada. And Sharon goes, Adam, no, Faith comes out because she was bringing Chance some of his favorite scones and coffee. And she comes out, she goes, don't blame him, He saved me. He saved all of us. So Chance is great in my book. She's like, just like you saved me, Adam, Chance saved me. And Adam just looked, and he walks into the coffee house to where to get some coffee. And Sharon goes, you guys, hold up. Excuse me for a minute. So she goes and talks to him. She goes, Adam, you cannot blame Chance for any of this. You out of line back there. And he goes, I know. And then they was talking about, Sally won't forgive him and he needs her forgiveness. And blah, 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 blah. So she listened to him for a while. She says, Adam, you had to make a decision that no one would ever want to have to make. And you made that decision. It was the decision you felt was right. Now it's going to take some time. He goes, but I let my baby die. She goes, it's gonna take some time for you to get over the grief as well. I just need Sally's forgiveness. And she says, Sally will forgive you in due time, in her own time. You can't control that. So he was just like, oh, whatever. So she patted him on the back and he left, and but you could see Adam's already starting to go to that vindictive. And when he left Sharon is when he went to go see Sally. But then this is what's interesting, that's brewing, everybody, and I'm loving it. Nikki and Victoria were talking, and Nikki was saying, she's upset, shaking as to what happened. She said, I need a hug. And when she walked in, Victoria hugged her and everything. And Victoria was saying, my heart breaks for Nick and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, but Mom, that's why I'm going to ask Nick to step away from Newman and take a leave of absence. And Nikki said, wait, what? Why would you do that? Because of what he went through. Sharon and Faith are going to need him. He needs to take some time away with this ordeal. And she goes, no, he will need what he says he needs. And then she goes, well, with Sharon and Faith. And she goes, wait a minute, you don't know what else happened, right? And she told her about Sally lost the baby. That's another reason. He does not need to have work on his mind. He needs to just spend time with Sally, spend time with Sharon and Faith, and let us take care of Newman. And Nikki looked at her and said, now, isn't it interesting? When the tables were turned after the Ashland situation, we all wanted you to step away and take some time away, and you adamantly refused. That's a different story, Mom. That's a different. She goes, no, Victoria. It was your choice. You felt you needed work. Nick might feel he needs work. Ultimately, Nick should be able to choose. No, because I know what's best for the company. She goes, or is it the fact that you want Nate to take your brother's place? Well, I would have Nate take on more responsibility, but no, this decision is for Nicholas's own good. So she goes, and guess who comes to the door, knocks on it, walks in, because the door wasn't closed, I don't think. And he closed it when he came in. He goes, oh, am I interrupting a meeting? And Nikki, see her, she got her legs crossed and her arms, her hands clasping over her knees. And she looks at him like, I'm getting your number. I'm getting your number, Nate. And Nikki looks at him and she looks at Victoria because she had just mentioned, is this why you want to do it? And she gets up, she goes, I have a meeting to get to. And as she's at the door, she says, and by the way, Victoria, if you go down this path with your brother, understand you don't have my backing. And she looks at Nate and she walks out the door. And I thought, you know what, Nikki, you need to flex your authority because you never have. We would all think she worked for Victoria, wouldn't we? But that's actually not the case. Victoria and Nikki are co-CEOs. Co-CEOs. Nikki just allows Victoria to pull all the punches and pretty much make all the decisions, and pretty much Nikki reports to Victoria on every meeting and all of that, right? But in actuality, Nikki is the same level and has the same weight as Victoria in the company. They're co-CEOs. Nikki could actually say, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. Nicholas Newman is not going to be taking a forced leave of absence. And if you have a problem with that, Victoria, we can take this up with the chairman of the board. And we know who the chairman of the board is, right? It's Victor. Victor is not going to want him forced out if he feels his work is what he needs, right? But Victoria is so headstrong. And so Nate says, ooh, goodness, are you sure you want to head down this course? It sounds like your mother is not on board. She goes, the decision has been made. Because Nate said when he walked in the room, I wanted to talk over Victoria with some ideas that I have. And Nikki looked at him and says, Newman Media ideas or Newman Enterprises ideas? And she's looking at Nate. And Nate goes, why Newman Media? Which is my scope of authority, of course. I wouldn't presume to offer suggestions on Newman Enterprises. And Nikki looked at him like, she goes, yeah, well said. And she looks at Victoria, and Victoria's thinking like, how rude are you, Mom? So Nikki leaves, right? And says what she says about Victoria doesn't have her support where Nicholas is concerned. And Nate says, after Nikki left, he goes, I do have some ideas. And they were actually regarding Newman Enterprises. And Victoria, that's what I like about you. You're always thinking, and I definitely want you because you, I will value your input in the position. So she calls Nick, and Nick is visiting Sally. Nick, can I see you right away? And he goes, I'm in the hospital visiting Sally. Well, this is important. Can you come? And Sally's like, go, Nick, go. I need rest anyway. Go. Nick should have said, let me tell you something, chick. I'm going to be there when I get there. Yes, I'm coming, but I've got things I need to do before I get there. Because he leaves Sally. He goes to check in on Sharon and Faith. And that's where Faith gives her bombshell that she wants to leave. She goes, there's everywhere I go, it's just a bad memory of where Cameron, and the park, can't go to the park. He made sure he met me at the park, and just, she goes, I don't want to be in the house, for right now, I need time to get away. I want to go back to school, Perhaps I still have time. There's still time to take summer classes, or I could get a summer job on campus. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't know that, most colleges don't have dorms in the summer, but okay. They're making an exception. I guess if wherever she's going, if you're taking summer classes, you can have a dorm. But her parents could buy her a house where she's at, or a little apartment close to campus. But no, she's in the dorms. Anyway, Nick and Sharon end up agreeing that, if that's what she wants, they're gonna miss her. She has to call every day, yada yada yada. Right. Then Nick goes to Victoria's office. But meantime, remember Nikki said, I have a meeting. It was a meeting with somebody at society, and the meeting went well. And Nate comes waltzing into society. And Nikki's kind of smiling with her tablet, thinking that went well. The meeting went well. And he goes, well, it looks like somebody had a productive, positive meeting. She said, yes, it went very well. She says, as a matter of fact, I got a glowing rave review on your work on the project. It's the project on one of the last media companies they bought. She said, so good job, Nate. And he goes, well, thank you, thank you. He goes, but from here forth, because she goes, and they're looking forward to working with you. Well, good, thank you, thank you. But here forth, Audra Charles will be taking the lead on that. She's going to be taking the lead on Newman Media. And Nikki looks at him and said, uh-huh. So you're after my son's job. And he's like, no, I'm here to support Victoria in any way she feels fit. I'm here to help her, assist her and the company. And so Nikki stands up. He goes, I have the company's best interest at heart. And she's still sitting down. She goes, that hasn't always been the case with you, hasn't it, Nate? And he looks at her. He goes, well, yes, I did make some mistakes at Chancellor Winters, but there won't be making mistakes over here at Newman. I put all that behind me, and I've grown and I've learned. And Nikki's packing up, and she's standing up, and he goes, Victor even approves. And she stood up. She goes, my husband and I, we have a difference of opinion when it comes to family and business and crossing thin lines. She says, so what I want you to know, what did she say? She was saying, you're trying to hijack my son's position. She was just point blank. What you're trying to hijack? She goes, be very careful, Mr. Hastings. And she gives him the eye, and she walks away. She gives him that, I see you, and I don't like what you do. See, Nick was so busy. He should. You can't trust him. Nobody can trust him. They don't need it. He was so busy yelling, versus putting it out there and letting people see for themselves. Nick was being just obnoxious about not wanting Nate and Victoria together. Didn't need all that noise. Didn't need it. Right? Because Nikki's got a crosshair now. And Victor saw him and Audra. See, don't let Nikki, because at the end of the day, who's Nikki going home to? Victor? Who's Victor sleeping in the bed with Nikki? My baby, my baby, my baby. My baby, baby, baby. Okay? Right? Yeah. And now Victor's starting to have his doubts. He's really going to be watching and critical. And then this whole move of pushing Nicholas out, it's not a bad enough move that Nicholas would quit and go work for Adam, because Nicholas and Adam don't get along like that. And ultimately, Adam's going to want to topple Newman to his knees, and Nick would never want to topple Newman. Now, when Nick started his Dark Horse Company, he poached Newman's senior officers, senior people, but he didn't truly, he put a hurting on Newman because he took a lot, Dark Horse dealt with real estate. He took a lot of all of Newman's real estate projects from them and future projects. So you know what? I guess I can't say that he didn't want to put a hurting on the company. Yes, he did, and he did. He put a hurting on the company. So now Adam wants to put another hurting on the company. Victoria does need to be spanked and sat down. And I'm saying that spanked in the business world. She needs to understand you're not the smartest cookie in the barrel. And she's not. She almost lost everything within the Ashland situation. The family company, that was her. Right? Now she's so busy in lust with Nate, she can't see straight. Well, you know what, Victoria? You're going to get what's coming to you. And I'm actually looking forward to it. So Nick gets there, right? And Nick and Victoria are talking. And I'm not seeing my picture of, let me see if I can get that picture, Nick and Victoria. So they're talking, and she's, oh, my brother, my brother. Oh, she loves her brother so, so much. I didn't upload that picture, y'all. And concerned for him. That's why, you know what, Nicholas, you need to just go. We all understand you need to take some time away. And he goes, time away? I don't need time away. You have, there's no way you can't need time away after what happened. Sharon needs you. He goes, Sharon and Faith are both working at the coffee house. Now, she goes, matter of fact, Faith is headed back to school. Sharon is already back to the coffee house. Sally's still in the hospital. So no, Victoria, I need to be able to come back to work. I need, no, Nick, you need time. She goes, wait a minute. I know what I need. She goes, much like the Victoria, the Ashland situation. We all said you needed to take time away. He said exactly what Nikki said to Victoria. And what did you do? You insisted you didn't, and you did not take any time away. She goes, that was a completely different situation. He goes, no, no, it wasn't. He says, and I'm telling you, I don't need to step away. I don't need time away, and I'm not going to take any time away. And she looked at him and says, you're misunderstanding. The decision has already been made, and you are stepping away. He looks at her. Oh, really? So we're going to see, because it left it with him looking at her like, are you out your mind? Right? So we're going to see what Nick does. How does he bring his mother and his father in? Because look, this is a family business, and we're going to tell on each other like we family. Right? Mommy, daddy, she's trying to, but bottom line, Victoria doesn't have the backing of Nikki, and I doubt she has the backing of Victor, and Victor could definitely veto that. And then she could just be pouting because her man toy can't now really play footsie with her, sit up in the office with her all day. Anyway, let's go to Comic Corner. Belinda says, when Nick was with Sally, he did tell her, remember, Adam lost a baby too. He sure did. And Adam loved his baby, and she should find a way to forgive him because he's grieving. He sure did tell her that. And then Sabrina says, I'm so sorry for Sally. She's more than likely will be nominated for the Emmy of the Year. On The Young and the Restless, yeah, that's probably about as emotional as we've had all year on The Young and the Restless. So I could see that. Because nothing else really good has happened, right? Brooklyn says, hello, Daily Recap lady. Elizabeth Henderson, aka Chloe, is off contract. And I was wondering, why didn't Sally call her friend Chloe for support? Nick should have called Chloe before leaving Sally alone. Oh, you mean at the hospital? Yeah, yeah. And then Libby says, story hit home for me as well. It has been 23 years. Yeah, that's true. I know what you're talking about, Libby. I do. Courtney Hope was phenomenal, based on the tears that were spilling from her eyes as she spoke. I think she must have tapped into some grief of her own. I know. I'm glad Nick stood up for him to Sally, meaning Adam. I had to step away again and haven't finished this episode. It's too overwhelming. I need to soothe myself. Yeah, I mean, this storyline hits home for a lot of women because, truth be told, more women than not, if you talk to them that have had children, and even those that haven't, have experienced a miscarriage. It happens, unfortunately. So, but yeah, the story hit home with me as well. Anyway, that's it, everybody. I will be back tomorrow for another daily recap of The Young and the Restless.